So this video is pretty much just to kind of help provide a brief history on the coke oven park that other video is of me exploring. Went up there with my boy and we explored around a little bit. And I kind of been in there one time in the park, been kind of ridden through one time, but hadn't spent any real time there. So this video is kind of like a backup, kind of like a brief history thing, stuff I'm kind of just now getting into online, looking up, and I may do another video later on of me going back to the park. Actually, I am going to do another video later on going back to the park and filming a little bit more, because there's some areas of the park I didn't go to, so, and I wanted to go to and film. Today anyway, today is 7/13/25 as of me going to the park and also filming this video. So just kind of doing a brief history as of looking it up on here. I'm on this page called hmdb.org, which is considered which is the historical marker database. And the page I have pulled up here, I'll show you real quick. Sorry for the jerky shit. It's a real brief page. I know. Real professional camera work and production work there. I just wanted to do that real quick. It's a real brief page, and I may go over to a couple other pages and do a brief thing real quick. But I'm going to read this off to you according to this page. Inscription. The Tennessee Coal and Iron Company in 1883 built 120 coke ovens 6 miles east to help supply its growing ironworks. And from what I read before, according to the park page, they also used it to help with steel production. The company contracted with the state, and convicts worked the ovens until 1896. On August 13th, 1892, Tracy City miners who opposed the use of convict labor burned the stockade and put the convicts on a trade and sent them on a train. Forgive me. I promise I'm not illiterate. Put the convicts on a train and sent them back to Nashville, as had been done in Anderson County, Tennessee in 1891. It has a couple of little sections there that I'm going to skip for right now, and then I'm going to switch back over to pointing at the screen for them, because it's one of those things where I could read it, but there wouldn't be much point in me reading it unless I'm showing you what it's mentioning. This page here really does not have a whole lot. You think a historical database would have more, but this is like, now that I really look at it, this one is like a short article. So, just a second. So I tried to pull up a video on, or not video, but pull up this picture, and it took me to a different site, and it did one of those let's verify you're human things, and like they used to do on MySpace back in the day, where you had to click the little box. Remember on MySpace back in the day, for those of you who used it, you had to click on either a little box that says you are human, or it said click on all the pictures that involve, you know, whatever topic it chose, like a bike or parts of a bike or a dog or whatever. It did one of those little boxes where it said if you are human. I did that, then it tried loading, and then it said access denied, which I don't know if it was just the speed in which I tried to click the picture or click the box, whatever, but it made me deny me. But I'll try to get some video next time I go to Tracy City, because it's not far from here, and film this, and I'll film the sign, and I'll upload a video of that at some point. But I'm gonna try to go to another site and get some more information on all this with you, for you. But basically, what I understand is they would put the coal, like the raw coal. I know some of you are thinking of charcoal, and that's the way coal naturally looks like when it comes out of the ground, but it's not. It's this black, bulky, kind of flint-looking rock. Kind of bulky, can be kind of bulky. And they would put it in these little ovens, and they would just set it on fire. And these, I'm sure there's more of a detailed process to it, but basically when it boils down to it, they would set it on fire, and they would burn it, and they would separate all the like the tar and everything from it, pretty much put it down to its organic form. You know, whenever you mix like some nuts or something up in a bowl, and you mix like some butter and honey and like brown sugar into it, and then you put it all on a pan, how the and you put it in the oven, kind of like roast the nuts. For those of you who've done this kind of thing or something similar, the honey or the butter, the sugar, whatever, however mixture you do it, that's similar to that. It'll kind of like, sometimes they'll kind of like spread out across the pan, the excess amount, and it'll make these like kind of this pool of like caramel and sugared like water, like mixture kind of out on the pan, and sometimes it'll kind of like harden up. It's like kind of like that, I believe. I've never watched it happen, but the way I read up on it and understand it, that would be kind of like how the process went. Okay, I'm on the Friends of South Cumberland State Parks page currently. So I'm going to read what's on this page to you. Coal mining was for a time an important part of the economy of this region from the 1870s until 1920. Now I understand it's given the general time frame on that, but that's one of my pet peeves. I like specific dates on things. I like specific year to specific year. And even if it's a month of the year specifically, like even if it's that, I want that, you know. Mining in the South Cumberlands takes you to Grundy Lakes area of South Cumberland State Park, just south of Tracy City, where you can see remains of the beehive-shaped coke ovens where the coal was heated to produce coal, which was later used in blast furnaces to make iron and steel. On the Lone Rock Trail, you'll also see depressions in the hillsides surrounding the lake. These are remains of many small, narrow mine shafts called dog hole mines because of their small size. While the discovery of coal in the area generated enough interest to build the Mountain Goat Railroad to get ore to market, it was also responsible for the creation of Tracy City, originally a company town for the mining industry. Ultimately, the volume and quality of coal in this area could not compete with richer deposits found in areas further north, such as West Virginia. Now, one of the main reasons, in addition to that statement, as in there were richer deposits further north, one of the other reasons that I read that they quit doing these mines, these, not so much coal mines in general, but this specific style of oven, is because, and I showed it in my video of exploring the park and, you know, putting the camera inside a couple of these little ovens, etc. One of the reasons I read that they quit doing those style of oven, at least as commonly, is because there were a lot of gases that would build up inside of the these little ovens. And I guess, you know, obviously it would be like toxic gases, but regardless how toxic they are, it wouldn't be that healthy to keep breathing it in and breathing it in, especially around that time frame when any sort of like, you know, head-worn ventilation, if there was any, that was worth investing in, probably wasn't that efficient. A lot of, you know, these, forgive me, a lot of these like gases kept coming out, and of course them breathing that in, you know, it was kind of like a toxic inhale. It was a work conditions situation. And of course around this time, especially between like the mid-19-teens to the 1940s especially, there was a lot of like union work, workers' rights kind of things going on. And I'm sure that this kind of thing had at least a small investment of that mentality and action upholding. But from what I read otherwise, there was a lot of toxic fumes that were coming out, a lot of gases that weren't good for breathing in. And I didn't read it anywhere, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were so many real minor, like possibly non-fatal explosions that could have happened from that. Not really explosions, but you know, kind of like cloud bursts. So that wouldn't surprise me. Don't take my word on that, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was another consideration. But imagine in a coal mine, one of the issues they have is that could be a safety concern. That is a safety concern. It's the deeper you go in a coal mine, there are certain like earth gases and rock gases that build up in there. It can make you go unconscious and it could kill you ultimately. And that, you ever heard the stories about miners keeping canaries down in the caves? Similar reason. Even though they would be out in the open, the people would be out in the open and dealing with these ovens. I'm sure something similar on a much smaller factor could still happen. So I'm going to look more into this, and I'm going to, at some point, I would like to do a more educated video on this. On this kind of topic, and just mining in general, like coal mining in general, but especially with these ovens and how they process, how they work, the actual history of it, not just some site that has like a paragraph and a half. Not for those of you who, like the Friends of South Cumberland and etc., who make these sites. We're grateful for you for making these sites, but also when it comes to the history lesson and the history aspect of it, the details of the history, I'm one of those people that actually likes the nitty-gritty details. So I'm gonna start digging more into this a little bit, and the certain details of how particular sorts of ovens and mines and etc. work. And here in the future, I don't really have a time frame on when, but here in the future, I'd like to do another little documentary on providing more of an in-depth and detailed discussion on all this. So you can keep an eye out for that. I just want to educate myself. I hate being like, hey, here's an explanation, and giving you that half-ass jerk off, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna dig more into this, and I'll provide more